Good evening and welcome to the second quarter ARRL Roanoke Division Town Hall. I'm Bill Marine, N2COP. I'm Vice Director of the Roanoke Division for ARRL. We have an exciting, chock-full town hall for you tonight. And if you stick around, we're going to have an awful lot of great information for you. We have an added addition tonight. We're going to have a poll that runs from now through the end of the show, and the show is only an hour. So when you see it, go ahead and put your vote in. Our producer, Brad, there you are. You just put up what the poll is. And the poll is, what are your plans for Field Day this year, 2026? You see there, you are going to be joining your club, maybe in a Class A station, participating from home, Class D or E. You're going to be reporting to an emergency operations center, or maybe even operating mobile, Class C. So you have from now through the end of the show to put that in, and just before we sign off at the top of the hour, we'll show you the results of the poll from this year. But enough about the poll. Let's start off with some introductions of the folks that you're going to meet tonight that will tell you about what's going on with amateur radio, both nationwide, worldwide, and right here in our own division and the 4 states that make up our division. First, let me introduce our director, Dr. Jim Boner, N2ZZ, coming to us from South Carolina. Jim, good evening.
Good evening to you. Good evening, Roanoke Division.
Great to have you on board, Jim. Thank you so very much. Now, let's meet your elected section managers. From North Carolina, Marv Hoffman, WA4NC. Good evening, Marv.
Good evening, Bill. Good evening to everyone in the Roanoke Division. Greetings from the high country.
And the high country it is, 3,830 feet. Did I get the number right?
That's pretty good.
All right. Let's move northwest of North Carolina to the Mountaineer State and say hi to Dan Ringer, K8WV. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, all, and welcome from Morgantown, home of West Virginia University and the aspiring World Baseball, Collegiate Baseball World Series champions coming up here real soon now.
Yes, congratulations to the Mountaineers and their performance in collegiate baseball. Well, let's move on down south to the Palmetto State, South Carolina, to Matthew Crook, W1MRC. Good evening, Matthew.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I see you've got your Field Day shirt on also.
Yes, sir.
All right, good for you. Nice promotion there. And let's welcome our newest member, our newest section manager, Virginia section manager, Mike Imani, WAAHZ. Mike, welcome aboard. It's great to have you.
Well, thank you, and glad to be here. It should be a great meeting.
Well, thank you. Mike, tell us a little about yourself as the newest section manager in our region.
So, been a lifelong ham. Started when I was 13, active essentially through college, and then slowed down dramatically while I procured a technical career that lasted about 47 years. Rejoined the hobby in 2019, and have been the affiliated club coordinator for Virginia for the last 5 years.
Well, we welcome you aboard, and it's great to have you in tonight. And also, there's one more person. We wouldn't be coming to you to this town hall if it weren't for our producer, Brad Humphreys, AE4VJ. Brad, thank you so much for being there in the background. No, don't be so humble and look away. We know you're the power behind the throne here. He's the hidden Wizard of Oz on the operations. So now, don't forget, you see it on the screen in the lower left corner, tonight's poll. Let us know what your Field Day plans are. We'd like to get a handle and just get a sense of what people are going to be doing for Field Day, which is only just a couple of weeks away. And speaking of Field Day, let's go over a couple of points about that before we head on to the other topics of the evening. First thing is, if your club has not yet registered its location on the ARRL Field Locator Guide, and there's a QR code in the upper right corner that if you just click on that, will take you to that page. Now's the time to do it. From our best estimates, we think about half of what will be the eventual Field Day locations in the division have been listed, but we still have about another, best estimate, somewhere between 40 and 60 clubs to go yet to list. So do that. I want to show you a quick map of where we are. This is as of this afternoon, and you can see that there are some gaps. I'm not trying to single any particular state or section, but that's about our best guess at this point, about halfway of to the eventual number of what will be field day sites here in the 4 states that make up the Roanoke division. So do take a look at that. And one more thing on field day, make sure that you have, where am I here? Brad, can you bring me back up? Make sure that you have a copy of the field day rules in the field with you. It's just handy, whether you have it in paper form, you have it electronically, it's great to have that on board. And we have one more slide about field day, and this is based on comments that we've had with folks who have come to us afterwards and said their reactions to field day. Number one, please make people feel welcome. Every person who comes to your field day site, whether they're a new ham, a returning ham, a visiting ham, an elected official, or just somebody from the public who's curious about amateur radio, please have a policy in place where you can greet them. People really like it when somebody makes them feel welcome. Number two, there's been a cultural change, and it happened maybe 30 years ago, where hams routinely used to wear badges to all events related to amateur radio, and not so much any longer. It's a good time to invest in going to an office supply store and getting some adhesive labels and a Sharpie, and have available labels, both for those hams who don't have a badge or come without a badge, where they can put their name and their call sign, particularly if they're visiting or want to join the club, or visitors who may not be licensed and want to learn more about amateur radio, or maybe even get on the air themselves. It's just a nice way to make them feel welcome. And the last tip we want to pass along is, if you list your local repeater as how to get in touch with the club and a cell phone number or a telephone number, how to get in touch with somebody at the club to get more information, please monitor those two through the end of field day, meaning 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. It's okay if your club has to close up early due to heat, due to storms, due to weather, or other circumstances. But you may find people trying to find you, and if they can't get a hold of you, they at least may want to talk to somebody and find out more about what field day was and maybe more about your club. So do just as a policy, keep that going. So, all right, let's get back to the main event of the night, and we'll talk more about what is an update on the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Bill. The bill that ARRL's been working on in one fashion or another for over a decade, but now has reached a pinnacle point of making tremendous progress. Brad, can we move this slide out of the way? There we go. Thank you very much. So an update on the bill. There have been 2 very influential videos in support of the bill that have come out in just the last few weeks. One is from Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who sits on the Senate Commerce Committee, the committee on the Senate side of the House that we will be hearing the bill. And he has praised amateur radio. Also, a wonderful video came out from the governor of the state of Washington in support of amateur radio. 2 very influential voices that can help propel the bill forward. Before you see the QR code. ARRL has started a campaign that began last fall in collecting letters from licensed amateurs, and you don't have to be an ARR member. All you have to do is have a currently valid amateur radio license. And if you click on this QR code, either the large version or the smaller one in the upper right corner, it should take you to the page that will automatically generate letters of support. You're asking letters of support from your designated congressman in the U.S. House of Representatives and your 2 U.S. senators. If you've already filled out the form, the QR code will say you have already. And thank you again. If you haven't yet, please take a moment. Just simply the QR code, once you populate your amateur radio call sign, will automatically fill in your name, and because of your call sign and where you live, will populate automatically the names of your correct congressman and your corresponding 2 U.S. senators in support of the bill. ARRL has generated at this point almost 160,000 letters of support, but we can use more. So if you haven't done it, if there are folks in your club that haven't done it, please urge them to click on this right now. And of course, this will be available on the replay on YouTube later if you look at it. So encourage your friends, of course, to watch this show after we sign off later tonight. That's it for now on the update of the amateur radio bill. Let's turn, if we can, back to our newest member, Mike. Mike, I know you come from a very active and progressive club in Virginia, and you've had tremendous success in initiating some programs. And one of the programs is identifying technician class licensees who may have their licenses expiring soon, and you have a way of re-engaging them. We'd like to hear more about this, Mike. What's the secret sauce that you found?
Well, thank you, and good evening, everybody. So let's put a framework on this. In Virginia, we know very clearly that there's about 800 new hams that, in fact, join the hobby every year, and it's within that number, and it's been that way for the 5 years I've been tracking it. What we didn't appreciate in Virginia was that there's about 1,200 amateur radio operators a year that are dropping out of the hobby. 400 plus minus 1,200, we're losing about 400 amateur radio operators a year in our hobby in Virginia. So we decided to look at something that might help. We looked at growing more hams and decided that the VE processes is probably working the best it's going to work. So we're not going to grow our way out of this declining opportunity of amateur radio operators in Virginia. What we need to do is stem the tide of those leaving. We zeroed in on a small group of those technician class license operators who are coming forward for the first time to be renewed. It's a gauntlet that some challenge. There's a gauntlet, particularly if you don't have a mentor to urge you on. So we have started a letter writing campaign in the Vienna Wireless Society to just about 10, not a large number, 10 amateur radio operators in our area who are licensed less than 10 years, and their license is expiring this month. And we've been doing that for about a year. We've got about 120 some letters out there. Some of the letters get returned to sender because of bad addresses. But when you take those out of the category, about 30% of the amateur radio operators we've contacted have renewed their license within a month or two of the receipt of the letter. Now, maybe they had other motivations for doing it. Maybe their letter was the trick. But we'll learn a little bit more because we've invited those amateur radio operators who have rejoined the hobby to join us at Field Day in a couple of weeks. And we'll hopefully have some one-on-one discussions about why they came back, what we can do to help them to re-engage in the hobby. And so we think it's a very modest expense of writing letters for a fairly large gain. As I said, about a 30% response. That was way more than we ever expected. And that's growing the hobby. It may not be enough yet, but it's a step in the right direction. What I would like to hope is that other clubs would mimic this, and anybody can do this. We would support just ARR, just my call sign WA8AHZ at ARRL.org, and say you want to know more, and we'll get you the monthly list of declining hams. We know that there are other organizations that do this. We think we're probably the most active in tracking the response. And that's it. I can yield back some of the time and maybe we can pick it up for some conversation if it comes up in the Q&A.
A question that I have, Mike, is when you reach out and you do make contact with these technician class licensees who face the end of their term, 10-year term, and deciding whether to renew or not, do any of them share with you reasons as to why they initially got licensed and then either lost interest or did not participate in the hobby?
No, we've not had a dramatic groundswell. Periodically, we'll each get the 3 or 4 of us write the letters. We'll each get a little handwritten note from that ham saying, "Thank you for reminding me. It totally slipped my mind." But that's about the best we get. We're hoping that we may be able to harvest some of that information if, in fact, they join us at Field Day.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know that your home club, the Vienna Wireless Society in Northern Virginia, which I believe is the second largest ARRL affiliate club in the Roanoke division, has had a few other innovative programs. I think you have one also on silent keys and dealing with disposition of estates.
Well, in fact, excitingly, the Vienna Wireless Society will be spotlighted as one of the clubs in QST coming up in July. Any club can write an article about what they're doing, and we'd recommend working through it. It's a relatively short article, maybe 300-400 words of what you do, but we have several programs. One, of course, is we watch our elders, those that are moving into over 55 communities. We help them maintain their on-the-air activities, even if they are losing their stations and their antennas and the like. We have a club station they can use as a remote station. We'll wire them up with a DMR radio, of which usually most of them say that's not real ham radio. But then we do something unique for each one of them. We get a talk group that is of particular interest to them. So one of our elders, we gave him a talk group of Germany, German language, Germany type of QSOs. And he's now returned his fluency in German after something like 50, 60 years of not speaking a word of German. So, tailoring the DMR to the interest of the ham and not making something so complex that they can't figure out how to do it. We don't tell them about code plugs or talk groups or anything like that. We just give them 6-channel radio and say, here are your choices. If you run out of interest in those 6, come back and we'll reprogram another 6 talk groups for you. So that's just an example of some of the stuff we do.
What great outreach from your club to the overall amateur radio community. Many thanks, Mike, for sharing those programs with us. So we'll be back in touch with you, Mike, in just a few minutes to hear about what's going on in the Virginia section. But we'll move now around to a round robin with our elected section managers. And let's kick off tonight in the Tar Heel State with Marv and find out what is going on in North Carolina. Marv, good evening, and what news do you bring from across North Carolina?
Good evening to you and to everyone on the program tonight. Saturday, I sent out a section newsletter, and that has been a priority during my 6 years of service as section manager. Members in the North Carolina section have gotten 149 newsletters, 2 a month, since April 1st in, I guess, 2021. And so we try to keep the membership informed. And on the ARRL email system, when I send out a newsletter, I get pretty quickly a report, and I was told by the computer that newsletter that went out Saturday went to 2,210 members in North Carolina. There are people who do not want to get the newsletter from the ARRL for whatever reason. They may not live in the section. They may have an issue with their text file. So I also send out a Word document that goes to 110 other people. Some are family, some are out of state people, some are people who haven't gotten a license yet. So the number one priority in the North Carolina section, while I've been section manager, has been to keep the membership informed. Now, as to field day, on the map that you have shown a couple times, we have 21 pins in the map for the 71 affiliated clubs. Now, Dave Price, K4 KDP, and for his phonetics, I have decided, since he lives near Mount Olive, that his phonetic call sign should be kosher dill pickle. But he will be doing visits for field day in the eastern portion of the state. I'll be in the western part, probably going as far east as High Point, and then filling in as many visits as I can during the visits to the western. Both Dave and I plan to do 7 visits. As far as the year of the club, the uh, a fellow in the Ash Club volunteered to be the coordinator for North Carolina stations that wanted to participate in the W1AW stroke 4. And that was the week of the the Raleigh Ham Fest. And they accumulated 14,000 contacts during that week. During the Shelby Ham Fest, which is the second week for North Carolina to be on the air with W1AW stroke 4, there will be a station operating at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds for 2 days. And Paul Reich, who is the coordinator up in Ashe County, has been signing up people to cover the other 5 days of that week. So I think we'll have another 14,000 contacts. Very proud of what the North Carolina people have done. So that's the report from the high country.
Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you at the Shelby Ham Fest and W1AW Stroke 4 for North Carolina. I'm showing will be Wednesday, September 2nd, or actually Tuesday night, September 1st through
Yeah,
September
and
8th.
also, Bill, if I may add one thing I forgot, we're going to make a particular effort to try to get scouts on the air there at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds.
Wonderful. Thank you for that report. And we're looking forward to, of course, in the second half of the year, they'll be coming up in just a few weeks for the year of the club. Now, before we move on to our next round of section manager reports, remember we're doing a poll tonight, and the poll is, what are your plans for field day? On your screen, it should be in the lower left corner, and so far, whoa, looks like we're mostly Class A folks joining your club. But you get a chance to continue voting using in the chat feature of tonight's video by using the number 1, 2, 3, or 4. What will you be doing for Field Day 2026? We'll share the results with you as we get to the end of tonight's webcast in about a half hour. So let's get back to the reports from section managers. And West Virginia section manager Dan Ringer is still aglow with the success of the Mountaineer baseball team at the Collegiate World Series. But I think we can bring him back to earth to tell us a little bit about what's going on with amateur radio in the Mountaineer state.
My dog has exploded. I have a 16-year-old beagle, and she would like to have a word with all of you. I'm trying to keep her to not doing that, but if you hear her, I apologize. I have 4 things that I want to touch on. One is, if you looked at that map, you saw, I think, 1 spot in West Virginia for a field day site. The map was kind of truncated, so the northern part of the state was not showing. So I'm hoping that there are some other operations in the northern part of the state, but they're not on the locator yet. So if you are in the West Virginia section and you do have a field day operation coming up, please, please, please put it on the locator as soon as you can. I don't know where I'm going to be able to travel or how many sites I may be able to get to. Maybe none, maybe a bunch. I don't know that yet. I can't find you unless you're on that locator. It's just not possible. I can't call every club in the state and say, are you operating field day? And if so, where are you? That doesn't work very well. Secondly, field day is not a contest. And I see people show up at field day sites and isolate themselves in a tent or in the back of a van or truck or something and just go away for the weekend so they can operate. That's not what field day is about. Field day, among other things, is to introduce new hams to your club, to operations in mass operations like field day, which are pseudo contests. So the best experience I ever had was we had a young ham show up at our field day site, and he sat down and tried to operate, but nobody sat down with him, and he simply didn't know what to do. So when I realized that, I sat down and I showed him on site how to operate. And in doing that, I showed him how to operate a transceiver, how to make the band listenable using real tricky things like backing off the RF gain control and things like that, the proper selection filters. And then I left him to try to do it. And he had picked up on it quite well because most of these new hams are not dumb. They pass their license exams. They just need a little experience. So give some of these new folks a little experience and then turn them loose to let them do it. Stay there close so that you can help them correct their errors or their omissions. And they'll become good members of your club because they know that you like them and you respect them, but they'll also become better hams. And that's really a proper goal for field day. It's not a contest. It's to build the best hams that we can. Third, I have heard people say for years that the league is not transparent, that they do not know, or we do not know as members what's going on. There is a really simple way to find out what's going on with the league and what the league is doing, as Bill alluded to earlier, locally, nationally, and internationally. And you say to yourself, how am I going to find out what's going on in amateur radio internationally? It's easy. Go to ARRL.org, look at your My Account section of that site, and sign up for some newsletters. There are a bunch of them there, but the two I would strongly encourage you to sign up to read are the minutes of the ARRL board and the minutes of the ARRL executive committee. There you will find out between the two of them everything that's going on with, for example, the International Amateur Radio Union, everything that's going on with regard to Washington from headquarters, things like that. And you will learn a lot. And you will come away, as I did when I first started reading them, thinking, how in the world can these people accomplish and do all of that? There must be a billion committees. There's got to be people volunteering to chair them and to be on them. And they are accomplishing great things, relatively great things. I don't know how great things can be that amateur radio accomplishes, but there's a lot to try. And they're doing it, and it's all in those minutes. All you have to do is read them. And don't just read one set of minutes and say, I can't understand this. Read several sets. They come out periodically as the boards and the committees meet. Read them all, and you will soon learn to speak the language, and you'll understand what's happening. And lastly, we talk about support for the amateur radio, what we call an access or operating bill that's pending in Congress right now. I spent years talking to senators and representatives for other organizations. I was not a lobbyist, but I was involved in what we call walking the bill and talking to these folks. Every one of them, in one conversation or another, told me the same thing. They look at the number of letters and comments that they get. They cannot typically read each one. They have people for that. But what they do is they understand these things and react to them by the pound. So send them your pound, your letter. Don't try to be original. The league has crafted these letters very specific, accomplish a specific purpose. Let those letters go with your name on them and your location, and your representatives will pay attention to them. Again, don't try to be original. Try to play with the team on this, and I think we'll see positive results. I hope so. It's been a long drag, but we're close, I think. Bill, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. I want to add one more document. I think that hams, if they want to know more about ARRL, should read is the annual report. And the 2025 report is not yet available. Typically, the annual report becomes available in the third quarter every year, but the last year's report was either 54 or 58 pages. The back 20 pages are the audited financials for ARRL. So anybody that wants to know where the money is, that report is certified by a CPA as to where the money is. But more importantly, there's a section in the annual report that I like that's very helpful called Report to America. It's a non-technical 2-page public policy statement of what is amateur radio and how amateur radio as a tax-free volunteer force helps communities around the United States. It's a very wonderful 2-page insert to share with members of your local government, your zoning board, your planning board, and anywhere in government. So Dan, thank you for mentioning that very, very much. So let's move on down to South Carolina and hear what's going on with Matthew in the Palmetto State. Matthew, tell us what's new.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We do have some exciting events coming up, both in amateur radio in general, as well as South Carolina. Of course, starting off with ARRL Field Day coming up in June. As I mentioned, the Find Field Day locator, we do currently have 15 clubs for South Carolina registered. We have 35 affiliated clubs, so I'm hoping we'll see some more show up. I believe some of the ones on the Field Day locator actually aren't even affiliated clubs. Hopefully we'll see a lot more clubs show up. Like the other section managers mentioned, we utilize that to figure out where to go visit. So we're looking forward to finding these locations to go visit. I also want to mention with the 35 affiliated clubs, there is an annual report that we try to have updated annually. And we have several that are behind on that. So, if you're not sure about your club, please check that on the website. One thing I'm doing that I did last year that I think worked well is I have a Field Day 2026 banner that I want to send out to one of the clubs. We'll randomly select it, same as last year. The only requirement is that you are a affiliated club with an annual report updated in the last 12 months, and you are listed on the Field Day locator. So do please get on there so I can get that shipped out to a club. Like I say, I went out to one last year and they sent me some pictures of it displayed. It looked great. So I'm hoping to do that again, see that again. If you're not an affiliated club and you have interest, if you haven't checked out, the ARRL did update their website, clubs.arrl.org. There's a whole new, much easier to use interface to get your club affiliated. So definitely check that out if you are not and you are interested, or you could email me as well. Other events coming up, of course, we have our 13 Colonies special event, July 1st through the 7th. And South Carolina's coming up for our second and final round of the Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey Stroke 4, July 22nd through 28th. If you haven't, been hunting, get out there and hunt. Both of those are great events. If you have an interest in being an operator, reach out as well. It's probably still a couple slots, even though the time is winding down. So If you have an interest in that, shoot me an email as soon as possible. Last thing I just want to mention, another good thing as the summer starts to wind down is we have some of our Hamfest and swap meets coming up. So keep an eye on the ARRL website for Hamfest, as well as the ARRLSC.org. Just a few real quick. Blue Ridge Amateur Radio Society has one on Field Day, their radio rally. Florence Amateur Radio Club has one August 15th. We've got a Ham GMRS second annual coming up in Sally, South Carolina. Rock Hill, October the 3rd. Dutch Fork and Little Mountain. Newberry coming up October 10th. There's a radio community meet and greet in Nisa, South Carolina, October the 10th as well that afternoon. So there's a lot of good events coming up. And also, like I believe Dan had mentioned, if you have information you want to get out, to the other hams, to the state, definitely shoot me an email. Love to get it on the website, social media, wherever we can. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Matthew. Great report from South Carolina. And I noticed that Brad put up a question from a KY4 station about where can a new ham go to find the clubs that I think are or not participating. What I'd suggest is go to that.
They were specifically asking in South Carolina too. There was another message after that, but this would be good for actually, it doesn't matter where.
All right, Matthew, you want to take him and steer him to where he might find some good activity in South Carolina?
Yeah, so if this is, I guess, related to Field Day, if so, definitely check the Field Day locator. Like I said, we have the 15 sites already, and I think it was 13 2 days ago. So we've had 2 added in the past couple of days. So hopefully we'll see more coming up, for your Field Day in your area. They are kind of spread out, so I feel like there's one for most every corner. I know we've got a few on the coast, a few in the upstate, a few in the Midlands, and of course Aiken. So most of the state is covered. I would say within an hour travel.
And don't forget, when you click on that red pin, the information will come up about the name of the club and both their talk-in frequency and a phone number. If you're a new ham, feel free to pick up the phone and call the listed telephone number. Just say, hey, I'm a new ham. Are you doing any activities for Field Day that I might be able to participate in and learn more and get my feet wet? That's exactly what Field Day is supposed to be about. Good suggestion, Matthew. Thanks very much for that. Now, back to our newest section manager, Mike Imani. Mike, what is going on in the Old Dominion state?
Well, thanks, Bill, and appreciated the opportunity to toot the horn of Virginia just a little bit more. So when we took over from Jack Smith in April, we rebuilt our leadership team, and I'm very proud of the team we have. And we put a couple of special people in places to do some things for us. Our new section government liaison has already been working with the governor's office to get a proclamation for Amateur Radio Week for the end of this month. We have not gotten the results on if that proclamation will be signed or not yet, but we're told that those things don't happen ahead of time, that you'll know when you know. So quick calling. So we have a new youth coordinator who comes out of the scouting community and was a youth coordinator in New York before he moved to Virginia last year. And he's a ball of fire, and we're working heavily to get ourselves supporting the JOTA, the Jamboree on the Air, in October. So our sights are out in front of us. Our special projects assistant section manager, Ed Gibbs, is working with the teachers community, and we're hoping to get some more teachers into the Teachers Institute, and if not this year, work this for everybody, work this for next year. So we're working with the school systems as well as with the state government. Our section emergency coordinator, Terry Buzzard, is continuing the work that Joe Paulza started and Jack Smith picked up on. And we're very much heavily involved both within the state's Department of Emergency Management as well as the FEMA region activities, and we're a member of the local chapter of the volunteer age organizations assisting in disasters. So that puts us very heavily into that category of public service. A couple other things I wanted to bring out. Like North Carolina, we have 71 clubs, which is a large number of clubs, and we've broken them up into sectors so that we have a section assistant affiliated club coordinator that can work those specific questions that may not fit right into the job jar of any one of the individual clubs. And we also are working this numbers thing. The number of people getting our newsletter every month is only about 2,700 out of the opportunity of 4,300 licensed amateur radio operators who are ARRL members. And we're working with the league to find out who the folks are who have not opted in. And we're working a postcard campaign with a bulk mailer, reaching out to those ARRL members that aren't getting the newsletter and aren't involved in any of the clubs. And we think that's as many as 1,000 to 1,500 amateur radio operators who are being not part of our normal communication system. I'll tout the 13 counties for the moment. Of course, Virginia is one of those counties that celebrates the 13 county special event station, the July 1st through the July 8th. And if any of the amateurs in Virginia are listening in, if you write me, WA8AHZ@ARRL.org, if you write me, I'll make sure you get to the team that's coordinating signups. There are definitely signups available for K2B this year. We're hoping to maximize blowout where we've been in the past couple of years in participation in 13 qualities, given this is the 250th anniversary. And then finally, speaking of the year of the club, our next time in the W1AW business is early part of November. And so we'll be on the downside, and hopefully we'll have a great second week of contesting or participation in a special event station. That's all I have.
Mike, that's great. And again, welcome aboard. Great to have you on board as the Virginia section manager, and wish you a wonderful tenure in office as you move forward. Before we hear from Dr. Jim, our director for the Roanoke division, a reminder, we have a poll going on, and you've got about another 10 minutes to get in and get your vote in as to what you're going to be doing for field day. Just go to the chat feature on the right-hand side of your screen and put in the corresponding number, 1, 2, 3, or 4, as to what you'll be doing for field day in the next couple of weeks. We're just curious, and we'd love to know. Now, let's turn to our director for the Roanoke division, Dr. Jim, N2ZZ. Jim, what do you see from the 30,000-foot altitude of ARRL?
Oh, the ARRL. I thought you were talking in my area. I'm only 500 feet, so I'm kind of jealous of Marv with that elevation. And I wanted to say, as far as vote, I'm kind of tired of hearing it because I live on the border of South Carolina and Georgia, so we're getting all the political ads. So it's that time of year again. So hopefully that's going to be done for a little while. I did want to mention a few things. You know, I've learned something. We talked again about access. What happens is whenever any of the section managers or I send out a bulletin, we get a report of how many places it was delivered to. We have close to 11,000 members in the division, and I usually get 6,200. So we've been working really hard, working with the ARRL website, with people going to their profile page, go to their optional newsletters, and click on the thing in the upper right corner that will open up all the ones that you can get. But I found out something else. My Yahoo account's no longer going through Outlook, so now I'm having to access it through the web. And what I found is the spam, when you want to delete an email, the delete is right next to the spam thing. So if you keep clicking through and try to delete emails, I remember doing this, and it moves a little bit each time you have an email. So I got to where it says, do you want to stop receiving all emails from the ARRK? And I said, no, what did I do? So I figured out what was going on and said, it's probably not just the people not signing up for newsletters. Someone could get a ARRL thing about maybe Sun Cycle or something. Says, well, I'm not interested in that. We'll consider that spam. But that takes out all of the emails that you'll get from ARRL.org. I have not found out how to reverse that yet. So I don't think it's just our server. I think the ISPs like Yahoo or Gmail or whatever also play a factor in that. So we try to get as much communication out as possible. We have these town halls. We each section manager puts out a report, and we also have a quarterly division newsletter that comes out. And we want everybody to get these. We want everybody to be informed. And, transparency is a bad word, because I don't really consider there's a whole lot of confidential things going on. We're happy to say what the league's doing, what people are doing, and how we're enjoying amateur radio, and hopefully making it so everyone else can enjoy amateur radio. I'm happy to say I participated in the ARRL Expo at the Dayton Hamvention that is now in Xenia. And I think it was a rousing success, and they made a record this year. I think it was 37,000 people attended. And when you hear that Hamfest participation is going down, it feels good to see something go up, and that really went up. And it was crowded, had a great time, attended the DX dinner and contest dinner, and did a lot of work with representing the league. So I was very happy about that and proud for it. So let's just talk about a few things. First of all, thanks to all our section managers for what you do. It's a tough job. Bill and I have been in that position before. We know how much work it is to get the volunteers and get people really active and doing things and handling the field service. So I've heard a number of mentions to the W1AW stroke X, that is whichever state that you're going to be working. I like to operate. I really do. I mean, last year I went pretty much crazy and did just about every QSO party. I didn't do the hardcore contest, but this has been a great year for doing the W1AW 250 event. I would ask everybody to look at that on the ARRL.org page, and there is a list there of states. Now, basically, you can get a worked all states. You can get what's called a triple play if you can get the states in this year on CW, sideband, and digital. And there's also clubs. If you work a club in every state, you also can get a addition to the plaque that you can get for the 250 states. So what's happening right now, we've got Oregon and New Jersey going on. Everything changes. And I'm going to say at 0000 Zulu on Wednesday. And that would be 8 p.m. EDT, our time, where it switches. It will be Tennessee coming up this coming week. And then after that, I believe we have Arkansas and Nebraska. Now, to play this game, each state has 2 operating weeks that they do. So if you have not started, I don't believe there's anyone that's done twice. So there's still time to do it. So please go ahead and participate. Again, information is on the ARRL.org website. Try to work all 3 modes, and it's been a lot of fun. I've had a great time doing it. I've been away a few times, and what I've done is I actually was able to do a little bit of remote operating to be able to work some of these stations. In fact, one when I was in Antarctica. So there's a lot of fun. There's a lot of technology out there. And also those starting out in field day, the important thing is my favorite term for field day is I can't believe it's not a contest. But the idea is it's whatever you make it. We have some people, it seems like the main thing is just getting together with the club, building a station, and having fun. I mean, not participating as a contest or anything, and some people just they go absolutely into contest mode. To some people, it's just the dinner at 5 o'clock. So make field day what it is. Be safe. It's good to have a safety officer, or you even get extra points for that, and be careful. So Bill, I, and all the section managers will be traveling this field day, so there's a good chance that you'll see one of us, and I really look forward to that. That's my favorite time of year. Well, let's mention a couple of things. If you're a DXer, do not miss Hotel Fox Zero Papa Alpha Sierra. That seems to only be on sideband, but that's South Shetland Islands, and that doesn't get activated very often. Be sure you hit that. And there's also a group that's on Lord Howe Island that is working all modes and is doing a very, very good job. And that's also a very rare one. So go ahead, look over on your DX clusters and get those in the log, because they're probably not going to be back anytime soon. So let me talk a little bit about what the league does that you don't see as much, and that is really, we watch Spectrum. I think one of our number one jobs is to deal with Spectrum, and the issue that right now is 900 megahertz. You don't hear about it very often, but now it's become very popular for those people that are doing Meshtastic and Meshcore. Not exactly amateur radio, but the thing is, it's a nice offshoot, and it's pretty much, it is booming all over the country, and the units are not that expensive. So this has all come out, but there has been some threat to the 900 megahertz band, the 902 to 928. As you know, there is an amateur radio allocation there, but there's a group called NextNav that are looking at trying to license the entire band for themselves. Congress is now directly involved with determining whether this 902 to 928 megahertz should be used for cellular systems that include a complementary GPS capability referred to as position, navigation, and timing. We're watching this very closely. At this point, the indications are NextNav is using a lot of influence, but it doesn't look like they're getting very far. So we are keeping a watch on this, and I just want to let you know there's one other thing on the website Bill remind me of. For those people looking for radios, there's now a comparison algorithm that you can use that came out of the ARRL lab, and it is on the ARRL news crawl. Be sure to do that if you have any interest in that. And that's only really a fraction of what the ARRL is doing behind the scenes. So I think at this point, I don't know if I've hit my 5 minutes, Bill. I usually go over, but I think at this point we can go into the question and answer period.
I agree, Jim. And Brad, do we have some folks that have questions tonight?
Let me add myself here. No real questions yet. Just some comments. Everybody's saying hello. They're enjoying it. So we can run through those. If anybody has any questions, now's a good time to start typing them. We'll kill some time here to let you do that. We'll just run through some of these. Any follow-ups or any additional things somebody might have thought of while everybody was talking? Might be a good time to touch on those, if anybody.
Yeah, good to see people chiming in, and if they're not asking questions. And the others, how are we doing, Brad, with the field day poll?
The poll. There we are with the poll. So we do have some questions.
Okay.
Oh, there's some long ones here.
Oh, could I ask a question of you? How many people have responded to the survey already? As far as numbers,
like 35.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know if the best way is to just automatically pop these up. Probably not. So here's where we got one here. This is a long one. Oh.
I'm reading this as we go along here.
Yeah. And then there's another long one after this.
I can answer it. Is there an ARRL program that follows up with non-renewing members for reasons why they've lost interest? Yes, periodically the membership department does reach out to members that haven't renewed. First of all, is to solicit renewals, and if not, find out. And we at the board level get to have a general idea of what happens. A lot of times it is personal circumstances, not necessarily something with the league or with amateur radio. A very sad one is when somebody sells their primary homestead and moves into such as a over 55 community or an assisted living facility that may not have capability to operate there. The quick stats, I'll have to look into that, Jim. Are you? It's been a long time since I've seen quick stats.
I'm sad to say I don't have any information on quick stats. I'd really like to at least learn what that was. I will say that the league usually sends up follow-up letters for those people whose licenses are expiring. And also part of the communications that the ARRL does is that we send reminder notices via email. But again, if you're not able to get the email, they don't help very much. I know there's some groups that will say that they will help renew your license for $80, and I can say there's kind of something in the works that we're talking about that that as far as renewing the license, we could probably end up offering from the same amount, not only renewing the license, but also putting in a year membership. That's going to require some bylaw changes, but we are looking into that right now. But you've asked a lot of questions that are just very hard to do. If someone has a concern, they're free to meet us. And from text, they lose interest due to missing access to HF. That's very possible because the technicians really don't have a whole lot of chances to be able to get on HF because their privileges are very limited. We did have a note into the FCC, or a proposal to the FCC to kind of expand technician privileges, but you run into the problem where people say, why are you giving them the farm? Well, it's not giving them the farm. If you have no reason to get on HF, then it's hard for people that are used to doing repeaters to know the joy of HF if they don't actually build a station. So the idea was to give limited HF privileges, like being able to participate in emergency nets and the rest. But that was something that the FCC has not taken any action on, and we have many proposals. Like we have had one proposal that has made it, and there's probably 13 still dormant that the FCC has not even ruled on.
Mm-hmm.
John, great.
Thank you, Christopher, for offering that class to generals that help them.
All right, so top of the hour, I'm stopping the poll. So there we go. There's our final numbers.
Must be
all
7.
Right. Thank you, Brad, for the poll tonight. And I see overwhelmingly people want to get out and work Class A, get out in the field, and which is great to see. That's fine. All right. Well, I think, are we ready to wrap up this edition of the second quarter Roanoke Division Town Hall? And I think we're looking at the time. I think we all agree. You'll be seeing a Roanoke Division quarterly newsletter coming out in a little bit before Field Day, next few days. And don't forget that what was I going to say? We have the quarterly coming up. We'll see you all at Field Day, and we'll be back in the third quarter with another town hall. So, Jim, anything I'm forgetting? I feel like anything from our section managers? Any final words?
I think we're okay. It's sad we only have an hour limit, but I think it's a good thing because we just take an hour out of people's times and we put everything else into print. But we're available if you have any questions. You have our email addresses, our call at arrl.org.
That's right. So thank you, everybody who joined us. Oh, I know what I was going to say. As soon as we're done, for those buddies of yours and friends and club members who couldn't join us live tonight, this production will be available on demand on YouTube. So just give us a few minutes to upload to that. And
It's active now. I mean, they can go back and watch it anytime. It'll be on Facebook, all the other places it's posted. Facebook limits, it's not there for perpetuity anymore. I think it's there for a couple of months or something like that. Then they take it down. But YouTube will be there, and you can go back and immediately watch the same link that we sent out to everybody else. So you're good to go.
Okay, thank you. And I think we all deserve a big hand to Brad for producing this program. Thank you, Brad. Yes.
I take donations.
That's what I'm afraid of. All right, let's roll the outro. And thank you, everybody. Have a good field day.